Okay, welcome everybody to the Mike and Key extra class license manual, license class, and we're using the ARRL extra class license manual, the 12th edition. And for the first session here, I asked everyone to read the introduction and watch the video, and then I'll in chapter 1 and chapter 2. There was 3 videos on there too. So before we get too far into things, let me go ahead and mute everybody, and then I'd like to go around and have everybody introduce themselves. So I'm going to mute, and then as you introduce
You muted yourself.
smart. Yeah, I forgot that I've got 2 things going on here. Thank you. I wondered all of I got a whole bunch of them there.
Is that your introductory joke for the class?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's start, and hopefully I don't get confused with this. So I'm gonna go down the participants list and just call them up as I see them on the screen. So let's start out with KG7PODLJ. Go ahead and unmute and tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm LJ, also known as KG7POD. And I'm really glad to be taking this class because last year when the pandemic started, I was enrolled in a 10-week course at the club over in Tacoma for extra. But then all the lockdowns started and I just kind of lost my momentum and didn't feel like studying on my own. And so I was glad to hear that this is available now. I think that being in a class format, even if it's online, will help hold me a little bit more accountable for studying.
Cool. Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Okay, next on my list is Rodney, WD6DQZ.
Let me unmute myself. Hi, I'm Rodney, and I looked back and I got licensed when I was 16 years old, but I've been very inactive for a very long time, or semi-active. I think I qualify for the Quarter Century Wireless Club by now, don't you think? I'd like to get up to date and I'd like to get access to all the frequencies. I never thought I'd be able to do extra because it was 20 words a minute. I actually passed 13 words a minute for general down in San Francisco when I got this call. I'm an original WN2 DPJ.
Nice. Welcome aboard. Okay, let's see. The next person I have is W7GPG Jeff.
That's me. I'm Jeff Kenner. I only made general a couple of years ago. Been pretty active in the club up until COVID hit. And at that point, my wife and I started boxing up our house and ended up moving across the water. So we're over in Kitsap County now, but just kind of getting my shack set up again, and I thought it'd be a great time to kind of start studying up and advancing to the final phase, or the final educational phase anyway. So looking forward to learning with all of you.
Good. Thanks for joining, Jeff. Okay, next I have Carl, N7CJR.
I'm Carl. I've been a general for, I don't know, 10 years or so, I think. And initially, I couldn't pass my CW back in 1981 with my mom attending, so I kind of gave it up, and coworker introduced me, and I got back into it. So just trying to complete the extra, and I hate to throw a curveball at you there, Jim, because I really appreciate you doing this. I mean, it's a big undertaking, especially. I don't know, you're teaching all 3 classes, so hats off to you. I work at 5:30 in the morning, and if there is any way this class can go earlier, I'm just throwing it out there. I just hoping, we can get a consensus, and if we can't, please. But don't worry about it. But I'm just asking if we could start earlier. So
Yeah, my
that's
problem is I'm using the Zoom account for the club, and we have 5:30 rag chews and other
okay.
things, and that's why I tried to pick a date and a time to not interfere with other people that wanted to use. Yeah, we're really using up the Zoom. We're getting our money's worth out of the Zoom account.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thanks. Let's see. Next up on the list is Steve, KK7ZR.
Hi, my name is Steve Jose, KK7ZR. I'm in Covington, Washington, and I've been a ham for 37 years. I was licensed in Miami in 1984. I went straight up to advanced. I went the whole thing all the way up to advanced, and I was doing CW, and I was practicing for my extra. At the time, we needed 20 word a minute. I was actively doing CW 20 word a minute and ready to take the test, and I was working for Westinghouse in Miami. But then I got involved in a job transfer to move to Seattle, and all that got put on hold, and I haven't gotten a chance to go back to it since. So I got electronics background. I should be able to go through this with the right training. And so I'm really excited that somebody's actually, I've had the book for a while, but you guys actually put the course together, and that's actually given me a reason to do this. So I really appreciate it. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. So I did the homework. The homework took quite a bit. It took me 4 hours to go through everything, watch the videos, do the study stuff. So it was a pretty tall order, but it was fun. So I know more about satellites now than I did yesterday. So
Good deal.
yeah,
Thanks, Steve. Okay, next I have Alan, K7KNI.
Hey, Jim. Hey, everybody. Yeah, like everybody, thanks, Jim, for doing this. I went to the club's general course about, I think, 4 years ago. So I've been enjoying that. I'm the Maple Valley Amateur Radio Club, and mostly HF stuff is done during field day, but I'm really enjoying that. I've been with the FAA for 20 years. A lot of people at the FAA are hams. And before that, I was with NASA. A lot of people at NASA are hams, and I didn't really take it seriously until I got to the FAA and saw those hams and got interested in it. I'm also interested in trying to move this earlier. I start my workday at 6. Jim, we could talk on the side. I know people that have accounts that you could use, other accounts that, wouldn't interfere with that time. So we could talk about that if you like. Our club has people that have several accounts we've used. So if that's something you're interested in, but anyway, thank you for doing this, Jim. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Okay, next I have Bill, KI7OOI.
Oh, okay, I'm unmuted. Hi, my name is Bill Shore. I refer to myself as Kilo India 7, Oscar India. And when I retired, I decided to become a ham. So, okay, that's been 3.5 years ago. Having a good time, want more bandwidth. Also, I vote for an earlier start if that can be arranged. Because 10 o'clock's just late, Yeah, I got a lot of stuff laying around. Right now I'm trying to liquidate Silent Keys stuff, and I didn't realize he had all the stuff he had. So I'm trying to get rid of this stuff. It's my house is littered with equipment. So Wish the flea market was this year, but whatever. You know.
Yep. Yep. Well, make a list of all of that equipment, and we can send it out to the MKARC distribution list. Maybe get some of that stuff moving for you.
Well, I've moved a lot of the larger items. You had a $4,200 Yaesu radio that left here recently, and right now I've got a lot of little items, small stuff. I got a number of Lambic keys. I've got some pre-filters. I've got just a couple of travel tuners. I've got a lot of stuff that miscellaneous stuff laying here.
Well, if you don't get rid of it this year, we'll hopefully have the swap meet next year and get rid of the rest.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, Bill, for joining us. Next, I've got Brian N7BRR.
Good evening, everybody. Jim, thanks for putting this on. Been a general for a few years now. Tried off and on, just studying on my own for the extra, and I think this will give me, like somebody said, a little more accountability. So I'm anxious to get through this, and really appreciate it, and looking forward to a little more bandwidth. Thanks.
Cool. Next up, I have my cohort in crime, Daniel Stevens. He's the official instructor, and I'm just kind of doing this on my own. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Jim. I'm driving. Didn't quite get off work in time to get home, but I wanted to sign in early to answer any questions that might come up. So you've done a good job so far.
Okay, I'll let you finish driving. Yikes. Okay, thanks, Daniel. Okay, next I have Elizabeth, KI7AUH.
Hello, everybody. I'm in Port Townsend. I got a technician license probably 5 years ago and a general maybe 3. There are lots of really good hams here, and I'm sort of expected just to pick it up. And this electronics is totally foreign to me. I don't understand what they're talking about. So a formal class will be really wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Good deal. Well, everything in the question pool is in this book. There's 622 questions, and all of the information you need is definitely in the book. So we'll get you going through there.
Well, I passed the general class because I memorized well, and multiple choice is really often you only have 2 choices.
Yep.
But I'd like to really know this stuff. So thank you for doing the class.
Yep. I've got somebody that has a Galaxy Note 9. It's probably similar to this. Who's in Galaxy Note 9? I need to have you renamed too. Somebody come in with a Galaxy Note 9, and you're muted right now. And they went away.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Okay. Who's that?
And I can barely make it out. Are you Jim with those headphones and the steel rim glasses?
Yep, that's me.
I don't know why.
Who am I talking to? And I'll update your name here so I know who it is. Hello? Uh-oh.
Maybe his call sign really is NOTE9.
Tarzad.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and continue on. Next up is Hal, W2KVQ.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you, Jim and the club for offering this. I've been licensed for about 54
I can
years
hear him,
now.
but I can't get the volume up.
Okay, am I on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I've been licensed for 54 years, 53 as a general. Was very active early on in my teen years and 20s, and haven't been on HF for a while. Now I have some gear, but I'm looking to get some of the operating procedures and technical understanding the technology in the new digital radio, so I can start in. So appreciate the class.
Good. Thanks for joining us, Al.
Okay.
Okay, next I got Holly W6HCE.
Yeah, hey everybody, Holly Eggleston. I'm a recent transplant to Tacoma from Oakland, California, although I grew up here in the Pacific Northwest. So I got my license a couple of years ago, actually 2017, technician in general, and had all the best intentions of getting my extra, and then life and family and everything just kind of took over and derailed me anyway. So here I am. Like others have said, I really appreciate kind of the accountability and the structure and the focus. And this is an area that I've really wanted to get into, kind of the more, technical side of things. And so, yeah, really looking forward to kind of having a class structure to do that. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jim.
Cool. Thanks for joining us. Okay, next up I have Jeffrey LaPlante.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Jim, for hosting this. My name is Jeff, Kilo Mike 6, India, Sierra Juliet. I became a ham in 92, Tech Plus license with 5 words per minute, where I just memorized everything I could hear and wrote it down and passed it. Then I forgot everything I knew about Morse and thought I'd never do general or extra because I had to learn more Morse code. But that went away, and I lapsed my license. I moved to California, decided to get back into it, got my general ticket by taking the element 2 and then 3. I have a degree in electronics engineering technology, so I'm not thinking that the extra should be too difficult, but I just need to study for the test. And I thought might as well do it with a bunch of great people. So here I am.
Cool, thanks. What was your call sign again?
It's Kilo Mike 6, India, Sierra Juliet.
All right, I'm going to add your call sign in there so I can mark you off. Okay, so let's see. Next up I have Jerry KR7JWL.
Yeah, that's Jerry Lemon, Kilo Romeo 7 Juliet Whiskey Lima. I'm transplanted to Cocoa Beach from Black Diamond, Washington. I'm still a member of the Maple Valley Club, even though nobody will recognize me anymore. I got here, I moved at the end of 17, got my general a year or two before that. I was very active in the club then, and also the CERT teams out of Maple Valley. But anyways, since I've moved, I have not been active at all. So it's time I get back into it and get some of the cobwebs out of my brain. I'm a retired steam mechanic, basically. So electronics is not necessarily my ball game either. But if it worked before, I can usually get it working again, as long as the smoke don't roll out of it.
We'll let the technology out.
There you go.
All right, thanks for joining in, Jerry. Okay, next up I have John KB2 IFD.
Oops. Hi. Let's see. I've been a ham for just over 30 years now. I got novice tech in general fairly quickly. I actually passed my 20 word a minute when I had was only going for 13, but I suddenly was able to do it. Of course, that's history now. I've also been inactive for, almost 30 years. I've kind of been looking to upgrade for a while. I'd actually bought the book in the previous edition, but up on my own, never managed to study and do it. So I was really glad to see a class for extra come up. And also had been kind of worried that, 30 years ago, my brain was in much more of a math and science place. And it's not so much anymore. And I mostly was comforted that doing the readings and watching the videos, it's not, totally Greek to me. So so far I'm kind of relieved that it seems doable.
Yeah, and that's going to be the good combo, is having the book, and it has several examples in it, and then watching some of the videos with math explanations. And then there's also up on the website of ARRL, there's math classes too if you are still struggling, but we'll get through it. It'll all get done. Okay, thanks for joining. So the next, I have another John, N7JWW. John N7JWW. Go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself if you would, please. All righty, maybe he stepped away. Let's go on to Anthony, KF7YSV.
Yeah, KF7YSV here. Have my general now about 9 years, and my ticket's coming to be time to renew it. So I figured I would go for the extra. Probably going to be in Europe in a couple of years, and so I'd like to get my upgrade now, so that when I'm over there, I can make use of all that over there. Thanks for doing this.
Good stuff. Good. Nice to have you in. Okay, next is April, KI7QFV.
Hi, KI7QFE, April Murdoch. I'm been a ham couple, 3 years, I guess now. Have my general pretty involved in Seattle ACS and what's left of Red Cross DST. My purpose is twofold. I got a MagLoop antenna for Christmas, and I'd love to be able to make use of it. And like several others, I can memorize the test, but that doesn't mean I understand the concepts. I've got a Yaesu 891 that's collecting dust because I really don't have the confidence or the technology skills to make it viable. And the SWR on my end-fed antenna is killing me, so I need to learn. I'm here to learn. I really appreciate you being here. And I'm also sort of becoming dangerous with an Arduino. So I'm hoping to marry the two and do some fun stuff. So thank you.
Nice. Nice to have you on board, April. Chris, KJ7OFI. Go ahead and mute and tell us about yourself. Chris, your audio is really low. Chris, you're still muffled. It sounds like something's going on with the microphone there. It's muffled. All righty. Let's go ahead and move on. Michael, KG7PNH.
Hi, I'm Michael Baya. I'm the lesser half of KG7POD. We both have been hams since December of 2014. She got her technician, I got my technician and general at the same time. And I wanted to do the extra for quite some time. I actually signed up with an online learning thing. I forget the name of it, but COVID hit. I just lost all interest in most things in general. So I figured this would be a good way to put myself back in the seat and get it done.
Good. Nice to have you aboard. All righty. Next up, we have Pam, KG7UVQ.
Hi there, I'm Pam, KG7UVQ, and I've been a ham for about 5 years, kind of discovered this late in life. It's been rather fun. I got my general 2 years ago, and I've been with ACS for about 5 years now. So anyway, thank you, Jim. Appreciate the class.
Yep. Thank you. Let's go to Phil, KI7GMO. Bill, KI7GMO. What happened here? Yeah, we can't hear you, Phil. I hear some buzzing in the background. Phil, can you, down on the bottom left of your screen, double check, you use the little up arrow and make sure you're selected for your headset. I know my headset, I had to change the settings there.
Yeah, can you hear
Yeah,
me
there
okay
you
now?
go. I can hear you.
I'll just take it without the headset for right now. So I got a commercial general broadcast license courtesy of the military in 1969, and that allowed me to actually be a Mars operator rather than having a ham license. I didn't get my ham license till about 4 years ago now. I went off to be an incident commander with emergency management in San Diego Police before FEMA ever came into existence, and what was now is called a Type 3 All Hazards Incident Commander. I retired. I now teach algebra and trigonometry at the high school level as a long-term sub, and physics. So I think I'm okay with the science aspect of this. It's all those goofy operating requirements of, so what frequency is my center of my CW carrier on? Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking to learn. And I thought that COVID would be really a good time to get this done, except I'm teaching 6 class periods a day at the high school level. So I'm okay with an earlier class because I am up at 5:30 every morning. So thank you. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks, Phil. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Ron, KK7GO.
Yeah, hi Jim. Thanks for having us and putting on the class. I've been licensed since 1995. I have my advanced, and I never figured that I really wanted to get further on. But I'm also a VE, and I wanted to be able to be a VE for all classes now. And I'm in Yakima. But anyway, I've taken the test like 4 times, and I've missed it by 1. And I hope to, yeah, and I hope to be able to get over the hurdle there. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Yep, thanks for joining us. Okay, let's see Steve, KA7NNO.
Yeah, sorry to be late. I had overlapping Zooms. I've got a general license, had it since, I don't know, so long ago, I can't even remember, 1982, 1983. And there was a long period of time when I was not on the air. And I've been involved with Saddle ECS for the last 3 years. And I've got a Ubitix version 6 kit that I'm putting together, looking forward to operating QRP and Summit on the Peaks. So I'm looking forward to getting out in the wild.
Cool.
And, so thank
Welcome aboard. Thanks. Susanna, WB7CON.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you for letting me do this. Actually, for everyone, I'm kind of proof that you can do it. But because I actually have my extra class license. A few years ago, I decided I'd get it and studied hard. But I don't think I learned that much. I passed the test, but I don't feel like I know anything. So I really looked at this as a wonderful opportunity to actually learn more. So thank you for letting me be here.
Did you all notice that Susanna's in the manual, in the extra class manual, her picture?
Yes, I earlier at the beginning of the meeting, if everybody turns to page 1-5, there she is.
Yes.
So when we get out of COVID and we start meeting up, we can go and get her autograph in our books.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks. And Susanna, I'm like you. I studied, and managed to get my extra, and now I'm going to teach it, so I'm going to really learn it.
That's always true.
All righty. We're getting close to the end. Ted, KJ7KPI.
Thanks for hosting this, Jim. My name is Ted. I got my first license November of 2019 by taking a class. The second license I studied for by myself and took the test at the the Mike and Key Hamfest just before everything closed down. I'd hoped to get the last level before the year was out, but I didn't make it. But here I am now wanting to finish the third and final one. And just one word of personal for me. I've never worked on HF. Even though I have the general license, I have never worked on HF. And my Elmer is waiting for me to finally get the bug. Hopefully I will.
Good deal. Well, welcome aboard. All righty, let me move this out of the way again. Next up is Verna, KF7 SCB.
Right, I'm Verna Lilly from Tacoma. I'm a member of the Radio Club of Tacoma, and I appreciate this opportunity very much. I got my ticket in 2011, and I do not have a technical background. I am not a science person. I'm more the art, English, literature side of the brain. So this is a real stretch for me, but I'm excited for the opportunity. Thank you.
Cool. Welcome aboard, Verna. Next up is Michelle, WB7AYU.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for getting us spurred on with this, Jim. Appreciate it. My name is Michelle Cross. The call sign is original from 1975 when I was first licensed, and also immediately joined the Mike and Key Amateur Radio Club. I've been with the club continuously ever since, so I'm what's considered the life member and one of the elderly type in more ways than one. But my background goes even before that. In 1966, I joined the Seattle/King County Civil Defense Group. It's a RACES program, which is still FCC recognized, and that stands for the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Services. Over the years, that group kind of has changed, and finally that turned into the state OES, the Office of Emergency Services. And since then, communications of it kind of went away, although it's been reestablished by the Seattle ACS, which, I'm not a member of, but should support that. My things at the time kind of prevent me from getting further involved with so many processes that I'm involved with. But I've been in communications all my life, really, starting way back then in '66. And since I've been licensed, I have the same original call sign. And been very active in the radio club there. I've held about every office. And also I have a commercial license, commercial radio operator license, on the original yellow paper thing, which, and the radar endorsement. So I've been in electronic servicing all my life here, and I've retired in 1998. Had the opportunity to get out, and I did. And so turn more attention into newer modes and newer things, and started to upgrade to extra once. Was actually a little class being held by a club member in person, and things got astray. I think the meeting room got disrupted, and other things were calling in my life at that time too. So we just stopped the classes as far as I remember. And so here's a good opportunity to get spurred along and get this done. I've, need the class now because operating procedures have changed, rules and regulations have changed, and even band allotments and everything else have changed that I need to restudy. So hopefully it won't take me long to keep back up and do that. I have a little trouble trying to read books like this with any real quickness to it. So it takes me longer and longer to just read a newspaper every day. So anyway, I'm glad we're getting back to this, and hopefully we'll be able to continue every week and get through all of the reading material and the test session examples and things. Oh,
all righty.
Back to that, Jim.
All righty. Thanks, Michelle. Last but not least is Will KF7VNA.
Not least, and that's great. I'm not least. I don't want to be least.
Yeah.
I'm Will, and I'm from Alki area and West Seattle, ACS, things like that. And I work for Boeing Avionics, lots of airplanes, for 30 years, and retired. And I decided to go back into ham. I started ham 60, 70 years ago, but never got into it. So I went back into ham, and I've been playing with it for the last 10 years or so. And I decided that in order to get an extra, it'd be a lot easier if I worked with somebody and gave me a structure to get through it. I'm a math, physics guy, so I'm not worried about the mathematics or anything like that. I'm just make sure I can learn all those rules. So appreciate it, Jim. Thank you very much. And I also like the fact that you're recording it in case, because I'm quite often busy in the evening and I may not be able to go to watch all of them, but I'll be able to see if you record them, I'll be able to see them later on. And people who have trouble at the time, if you do record them, they may be able to do it as well. Look something later.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Jim, and that's it.
All righty. Thanks, Will. Let me jump back real quick. I see the person with the Galaxy Note 9. Are you able to hear us and talk to us and let me know who you are?
Yes, I am hearing you now, and I'm seeing you, and I hope that you're hearing me.
Yep.
And yeah, great. I'm Joe Kiola. I'm KE6WVI, Kilo Echo 6, Whiskey Victor India. And I have my general license. I'm just a person interested in radio electronics in general, and wanting to upgrade my knowledge. Not so much for the extra bandwidth, so much as being capable in understanding various aspects of electronics and radio technician.
Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. All righty, we made it through the list.
Jim, this is Daniel.
Yeah,
Can I say
go
something?
ahead. Yeah.
The X-ray is a lot different than the general or the technician. The X-ray, it goes into the radio and different parts of the radio and starts to explain parts of the radio. There's a lot of electronics on it, and most of us have to do a little studying on it, guys. I've never studied as hard as I did to teach this extra in all my licenses, even my general license and radar endorsement like Michelle has got there. So it's going to take a little outside of the class. Write down the questions you don't understand, because we are here to explain it for you and not to take some of the mystery out of it. There are some subjects that there's only 1 or 2 questions on, and it goes on. In safety, I'm disappointed. There's only 1 section in safety, but on antennas, there are like 8 sections on antennas. So it gets really heavy into the antenna and the theory on that side. Back to you, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. And hopefully you've made it home safely.
I did.
Good deal. So let me first pull up screen share. So there was a question.
Jim, can I interrupt you just a minute?
Go ahead.
The reason that I'm on my phone is that for some reason Wave internet is not operating correctly, and I would have come online. But I was interested in hearing that you are recording these, and that there's the possibility of us being able to view sessions that we missed.
Yep, I will. The reason why I was asking for everybody's first name and call sign is so I can get everybody on an email list too and send out the information. So hopefully everybody has received this document here. Let me move my thing over here. It's the amateur extra section, and in here I put how many pages of reading there is for each chapter, and then if there's an associated video, here's the video link to go and watch the YouTube video. I've contacted Dave Kassler, KE0OG, and he's been doing all 3 levels of the classes for more than 10 years. So he's had multiple iterations, just like Daniel, and he's recorded these and kept everything up to date. So I'm encouraging you to look at these videos as you're reading, and I know when I went through Daniel's class, it was like drinking from a fire hose, and there was a lot of stuff that I had to go back and try to read and memorize and all of that. The reason that I'm doing it this way is that we're going to decompress a little bit and not drink from a fire hose, and hopefully have some time to go over questions. And as you guys have questions, please email them to me, or during the class, if you don't understand something, you can ask the question then, and Daniel and I will work on getting you the answer. So that is the first part, and I am going to ask, let's see, is there any questions from chapter 1? It's kind of the introduction, and really there's only a short video. Go ahead and unmute if there's anyone there that has any questions on section or chapter 1. And if I don't have anybody,
I
then-
might have a question on chapter 1.
Okay, what area?
I know this is Elizabeth KI7AUH. Passing a message, and I can't guarantee you this is chapter 1, it might be 2, but for stations, the first person originating a message is responsible for it, but also the rules also state that the control operator of the first forwarding station must either authenticate the identity of the station from which it accepts a communication or accept accountability. Does that just mean you need their call sign?
Yeah, you need their call sign. And do you recall what page you saw that on?
It's question, I'm reading from the cheat sheet on the question. It's question E1A08. And I get that the first operator is responsible for it being true, fair. You know, I never learned the Boy Scout code, but whatever all those things are. and everybody down the line can just pass it, except this seems to say,
Okay.
this is sort of gray area. It's on the question and answer book, page 6, but that probably doesn't help you.
Yeah, the E1A08.
Correct.
Okay, that is actually in chapter 3-5. Are you?
Okay, we'll save it. We'll save it for chapter 3 then. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually in chapter 3. So we will be covering that probably next week.
Yeah, good. Sorry.
No problem at all. That's what we're here for. All righty.
Jim, this is Daniel.
Yeah.
We used to be all liable for passing a message, and what they've done, they made the originating operator liable for the message. And we were worried about the repeater owner being fined and all kinds of things. And the FCC, about 10 years, 15 years ago, reduced that to just your operator that originated the message. So I think that's what your question is.
This statement, I'll write it out and email it to you guys. This statement seems to say yes, but, and I'll write it out in email and we can talk about it next week or
Yep.
not.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it next week, and just Jeff W7GPG has posted in the chat that it's on page 3-5, but we will definitely go over that in next week's class. Okay, so chapter 2 does have several test questions. Is there questions as far as the reading material or the videos that I can answer now? Otherwise, we'll go and review the test questions. Okay, not hearing anything, so let's jump into some. Get the. Alrighty, so I pulled all of these test questions off of the ARRL site, so you got to let them put in their commercials. Go up and shop and get more license manuals and other resources. Alrighty, so first we're starting on page 2-3 with the DX questions. So the first question is, and what I'm going to do is I'll read the question and then I'll ask for people to chime in. You can unmute yourself and shout out the answer if you know what it is, and we'll go with the majority. And then if anybody has questions on that, we can review that then. And on each one of these, you'll notice down at the bottom, it has the question E2C05, and it's talking about page 2-3. So first question, what is the function of a DX QSL manager? A, to allocate frequencies for DXpeditions. B, to handle the receiving and sending of confirmation cards for a DX station. C, to run a net to allow many stations to contact a rare DX station. Or D, to relay calls to and from a DX station.
B.
B.
Bravo.
B, bravo. Yeah, so when you call out B or D, please use the phonetic so we can distinguish it a little easier. So yes, B is the answer, to handle the receiving and sending of confirmation cards for a DX station. Next question. Which of the following contacts may be confirmed through a US QSL bureau system? A, special events contacts between stations in the US. B, contacts between a US station and a non-US station. C, repeater contacts between U.S. club members, or D, contacts using tactical call signs?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Contacts between a U.S. station and a non-U.S. station. Why might a DX station state that they are listening on another frequency? A, because the DX stations may be transmitting on a frequency that is prohibited to some responding stations. B, to separate the calling stations from the DX stations. C, to improve operating frequency, to improve operating efficiency by reducing interference. Wow, that was terrible. Or D, all these choices are correct.
Delta.
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 Delta is
Delta.
correct. All of these are correct. How should you generally identify your station when attempting to contact a DX station during a contest or in a pileup? A, send your full call sign once or twice. B, send only the last two letters of your call sign until you make contact. C, send your full call sign in grid square. D, send the call sign of the DX station 3 times, the words "this is," then your call sign 3 times.
Alpha.
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 Alpha is the correct. Send your call sign, full call sign once or twice. Okay. Next one is contesting, and page 2-5. Which of the following best describes the terms self-spotting in connection with VHF I'm just doing terrible on reading tonight. Which of the following best describes the term self-spotting in connection with HF contest operating? A, the often prohibited practice of posting one's own call sign and frequency on a spotting network. B, the acceptable practice of manually posting the call signs of stations on a spotting network. C, a manual technique for rapidly zero beating or tuning to a station's frequency before calling that station. D, an automatic method for rapidly zero beating or tuning to a station's frequency before calling that station.
Alpha.
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 Alpha is correct. The often prohibited practice of posting one's own call sign and frequency on a spotting network. From which of the following bands is the amateur radio contesting generally excluded? A, 30 meters. B, 6 meters. D, 2 meters. C, 2 meters, or D, 33 centimeters.
Alpha.
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 Alpha is correct, 30 meters. During a VHF-UHF contest, in which band segment would you expect to find the highest level of SSB or CW activity? A, at the top of each band, usually in the segment reserved for contests. B, in the middle of each band, usually on the calling frequency. C, in the weak signal segment of the band with most of the activity near the calling frequency. D, in the middle of the band, usually 25 kilohertz above the national calling frequency.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. In the weak signal segment of the band with the most activity near the calling frequency. What is the Cabrillo format? A standard for submission of electronic contest logs. B, a method of exchanging information during a contest QSO. C, the most common set of contest rules. D, the rules of order for meetings between contest sponsors.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha is correct. It's a standard for submitting of electronic contest logs.
Although the wording on B can be confusing.
That's the idea.
Yep. So they always put in a few distractors, and yeah, you need to look at each one of them and choose the best of the answers there.
The difference in that one is you're not submitting the log during the contest. The log is submitted after the contest.
Yep, for follow-up and checking. What indicator is required to be used by U.S. licensed operators when operating a station via remote control and remote the transmitter is located in the U.S.? A, / followed by the USPS 2-letter abbreviation for the state in which the remote station is located. B, /R hashtag or #, where the # is the district of the remote station. C, a / followed by the ARRL section of the remote station. D, no additional indicator is required.
Delta.
Delta.
Delta is yep, Delta is correct. US and US. Okay, what indicator is required to be used by U.S. licensed operators when operating a station via remote control and remote the transmitter is located in the U.S.? Did I
Just
get
read
this
that
in?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
read
did.
that one.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I must have had them in twice. Okay, so now we're going on to amateur satellites, and the questions start on page 2-10. What is the direction of an ascending pass for an amateur satellite? A, from west to east. B, from east to west. C, from south to north. D, from north to south.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
Charlie is correct, from south to north. What are Keplerian elements? A, parameters that define the orbit of a satellite. B, phase reversing elements in a Yagi antenna. C, high emission heater filaments used in magnetron tubes. D, encrypting codes used for spread spectrum modulation.
Alpha.
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 Wow, those are some really confusing other ones. Magnetron tubes and spread spectrum modulation. Yeah, alpha is the correct answer. Parameters that define the orbit of a satellite. What type of satellite appears to stay in one position in the sky? A, HEO. B, geostationary. C, geomagnetic. Or D, LEO.
Bravo.
Bravo is
Bravo.
correct.
Bravo.
Does anybody know what the HEO?
High Earth orbit.
High Earth orbit.
Yep, and LEO is
Low Earth orbit.
Heliocentric.
Jim, can we back up a couple questions real quick? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I've
Keplerian?
operated satellites and space shuttles and space stations and have contacts with all of that stuff for many years. But no, let's see. I think it's one more back. That's it. An ascending pass for an amateur satellite. well, most of our amateur satellites are not polar orbits. So south to north, north to south are out. And most everything I know, we look at from its position and goes from west to east, including a space station.
Doesn't it
So
technically go from southwest to northeast anyway? So I mean, like,
that
Yes,
depends on the
yes,
actual
yes,
satellite.
but what we're looking for is either a north or south path. So whether it's a little southeast, northwest, we throw out the east and west. We're looking particularly at the south to north or north to south. Ascending is going from the south to north. Descending is north to the south. Whether it has an east or west component with it, we throw that out.
Yeah, the
Okay,
technical.
well, I guess that'd be
About a
correct, and I stand corrected in my thinking, but you know, we look at what we can see visually here, and the orbit is like a sine wave if you look at the Earth spinning in its way. So I
think it's
understand it now.
the direction that it's going when it crosses the equator.
Yeah. So on
That's
page 2-9 is where the answer is, and it states when the satellite is within range of your location, it is common to describe the pass as either ascending, traveling south to north over your area, or a descending pass, traveling north to south. So that's where you'll find it, page 2-9.
I got it now. Thanks.
Okay.
Can I interrupt here?
Sure.
Okay, I don't know whether I'm speaking or not. I'm on the phone. It was my understanding that it was you judged it by its crossing the equator. So if you do that, it doesn't matter except in the case of an equatorial orbit, where you don't have any change from south to north or north to south.
Yeah, on page 2-9 of the manual, you'll find the examples and the answer. It's right at the top of the page, and then it has figure 2-6 that's showing angles, and or 2-5 illustrations of the orbit terminology. Okay.
So I think the reason for the confusion here is the term is kind of overloaded. When talking about the satellite's orbit around the Earth in general, describing the satellite's orbit with parameters, they talk about the equator, but when talking about what it looks like with respect to your station, what this particular path looks like to you, they use ascending or descending based on your point. So
Yeah,
it could
from
be
your-
different depending on which point in the orbit of the satellite you are.
This is also an amateur satellite, not a geosynchronous or geostationary.
Yeah, and I think the trick is that this little picture on the upper left-hand corner shows that the inclination angle goes counterclockwise. So if it was equatorial, it would be like this. And anything counterclockwise, it's going to be south to north. So that's the key, I think.
Yep.
Is inclination angle being counterclockwise.
Yep.
It's always by the point of the observer. So if the observing station is noticing it going down towards the horizon or up from the horizon, then that's going to be your north to south or south to north. So ascending or descending.
Yeah, and that's an important thing to keep in mind. This is a book that's designed for licensing in North America. And so it's from our perspective. And from our field of view of the overhead sky, we're going to have something that is a lot longer north to south than it is from east to west. And all we're looking at is what's the declination of it coming across our overhead. And no matter where you are on the planet, you're still going to be seeing it ascending, going from South Pole to North Pole and ending from North to South Pole.
Yep. Any other questions on that one?
Good. Kind of a mnemonic Way to remember this. The good news here is there's only one question about the passive and amateur satellite. So it's always south to north.
And we beat this dead horse, I think.
Only 34 more to get right.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Keplerian elements, and we got the geostationary. Okay, here's a new one for us. What type of antenna can be used to minimize the effects of the spin modulation and Faraday rotation? A, linearly polarized antenna. B, a circularly polarized antenna. C, an isotropic antenna. Or D, a log periodic dipole array.
Bravo.
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 Bravo is correct. A circularly polarized antenna. Which of the following occurs when a satellite is using an inverting linear transponder? A, Doppler shift is reduced because the uplink and downlink shifts are in opposite directions. B, signal position in the band is reversed. Yeah. C, upper sideband on the uplink becomes lower sideband on the downlink and vice versa. D, all these choices are correct.
E delta.
Delta.
D delta is correct. All of these choices are correct. How is the signal inverted by an inverting linear transponder? A, the signal is detected and remodulated on the reverse sideband. B, the signal is passed through a non-linear filter. C, the signal is reduced to I and Q components, and the Q component is filtered out. D, the signal is passed through a mixer and the difference rather than the sum is transmitted.
D delta.
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 Delta is correct. The signal is passed through a mixer and the difference rather than the sum is transmitted. What is meant by the term mode as applied to an amateur radio satellite? A, whether the satellite is in a low Earth or geostationary orbit. B, the satellite's uplink and downlink frequency bands. C, the satellite's orientation with respect to the Earth. Or D, whether the satellite is in a polar or equatorial orbit.
E.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. The satellite's uplink and downlink frequency bands. What do the letters in the satellite's mode designator specify? A, power limits for uplink and downlink transmissions. B, the location of the ground control station. C, the polarization of uplink and downlink signals. D, the uplink and downlink frequency ranges.
Delta.
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 Delta is correct. The uplink and downlink frequency ranges. Which of the following types of signals can be relayed through a linear transponder? A, FM and CW. B, SSB and SSTV. C, PSK and packet. D, all these choices are correct.
Delta.
Delta.
Delta, yeah.
Delta is correct. All of these choices are correct. Why should effective radiated power to a satellite that uses linear transponder be limited? A, to prevent creating errors in the satellite telemetry. B, to avoid reducing the downlink power to all other users. C, to prevent the satellite from emitting out-of-band signals. D, to avoid interfering with terrestrial QSOs.
Beta.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. To avoid reducing the downlink power to all other users. What do the terms L-band and S-band specify regarding satellite communication? A, the 23 centimeter and 13 centimeter bands. B, the 2 meter and 70 centimeter bands. C, FM and digital store and forward systems. D, which sideband to use?
Alpha.
Alpha is correct. The 23 centimeter and the 13 centimeter bands. What is the purpose of digital store and forward functions on an amateur radio satellite? A, to upload operational software for the transponder. B, to delay download of telemetry between satellites. C, to store digital messages in the satellite for later download by other stations. D, to relay messages between satellites.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. To store digital messages in the satellite for later download by other stations. Which of the following techniques is normally used by low Earth orbiting digital satellites to relay messages around the world? A, digipeating. B, store and forward. C, multi-satellite relaying. D, node hopping.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Store and forward. Da 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 da. Into the slideshow. So, chapter 2, all about satellites. They're a lot of fun to do. My favorite is SO50. I've done that one so many times. Has anybody else had fun with doing satellites?
I've never tried.
Lots of fun doing with the elliptical satellites, AO10 and AO13 over the years before they finally failed. And even AO7, one of them has come back to life after being thought dead. And I don't know the status of it right now. I've gotten commercial CP antennas for 450 and 2 meters, which made by Cushcraft. And I also have a cloned pair that a former club member made and brazed his old own aluminum stuff up and got the insulators, and basically they're Cushcraft clones. And I still have those antennas, and all working on dual azimuth and elevation rotators. Right now, my array is down from my roof because I need to replace my roof, and I've taken them off the roof for the time being, safe keeping them. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun over the early years operating satellite, and I've taken the whole mess to field day. Used to be able to go up to our operating place every year. It's not been the case for a couple here now.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that during field day and get the extra points. So, any questions on the material that we covered tonight?
This is not on satellites specifically, but one of the things that I picked up on while I was doing my reading was on page 2-7 under remote stations. And I really picked up on, for most remote setups, all you need to operate them is an internet connection and a web browser. And that, for me, would be a very interesting avenue to explore, rather than attempting to spend a lot of money on equipment and antennas and so forth. So I'd be interested if anybody is pursuing that angle to speak with them and get in contact with them.
Yeah, Joe. When I was looking at some of the remote, I forgot the website now. There's actually a couple of different websites where you can sign up, and they had remote stations all over the U.S. and you kind of like time shared and signed up for time slots to go and operate. And then a lot of the flex radios, well, all of the flex radios have the ability to do remote transmit and receive. And there's also some a product from MFJ that has a remote station. It's by a Raspberry Pi, so there's people that buy those, and you can connect them to your transceiver and have it up in a cabin somewhere away from the city, and put your antenna out in the boonies and get a lot better signal out there and be able to run your station remote. And so I haven't been able to run remote, and I live in the city right in the south end of Beacon Hill in Seattle, and it's really noisy down here, but I do manage to get out every once in a while and avoid the cycle of the neighbor that has his grow lights that just ruin the frequencies around here. So anybody else, have they done any remote work?
Hey, what are they growing, Jim?
Yeah, you can smell it down the street. And it smells like skunk.
I've cheated to find something on somebody else's software-defined radio over the web, found something that I should be able to pick up on my own radio, found a strong enough signal so I could kind of do a sanity test to see how well I was receiving myself.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different little SDR. I use one down in Half Moon Bay that I can pick up really good on the SDR, and I know that I'm shooting down to California just fine. But here's a funny story. So my dad, Kilo Echo Zero Lima Lima Lima, he got his general license, and he still lives in Pueblo, Colorado, where I grew up. I try to talk to him. I can talk to Fort Collins, which is north of Denver, or I can talk to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Can I talk to Pueblo, Colorado? No. Can he talk to me? No. He can talk to Loma Linda, California, and we're going, whoa, wait a sec. What's up with the we're just not having good connectivity there.
Jim, if you go to remotehams.com,
that's the station.
Yeah, and then you send in your an official copy of your license, and then once you're registered, and then you can download the client, and then there's a lobby that has everybody who has got their radio up for sharing, and it works out pretty good.
Thanks for that.
I'm going to put that in the chat window, remotehams.com. That was one of the places. I found another place that was, they were more spendy, but they had a lot of really cool gear and stuff on it with antenna selectors and rotators, but they wanted a lot more money, and I just, I'm not into that mode yet.
Yeah, I have a question about this store and forward. Are we talking about a digital message or a voice message that's being stored on the store portion of the forward? Is it relay? I mean, is it text basically, or some electronic representation, or is it actually a voice print going there?
It's going to be a digital message, Daniel.
Okay. Does that stuff have to be encrypted?
We can't
No,
encrypt
no
basically.
encryption.
Okay, so it's an open message that anybody can read.
Yes.
just like WinLink or anything else, everything has to be unencrypted.
Well, except isn't there a part of satellite transmission controls that is encrypted?
That is the
That
only
is an
thing it should be.
exception.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that should be, really, right? I mean, you don't want people jacking your control signals and then.
Who's responsible for deleting the message then after it's been forwarded, or does it automatically get deleted?
Not sure.
Well, okay, so this is Michael, KG7PNH. It's probably works like any other store and forward system on any system, right? It just, once it's forwarded the message and it acknowledges that it's been received at the other end, it deletes it.
Okay.
For it to stay, right? I mean, if it required human intervention, it would get backlogged and probably just die, like most systems would if human intervention is required. Things like
Makes sense. Thanks.
Good questions.
Keep in mind that Anster comes with a adviso that I have no idea because I've never worked with satellites. I can't imagine it doesn't clean itself up. Otherwise,
Yeah, that makes sense, Michael.
bad things would go.
Yep.
Sounds like an implementation detail is up to the software programmer for whoever's, devising the software for the satellite, but it's definitely not an issue for the rules and policies of operating.
Absolutely, but somebody that's designing a system like that, if they don't clean up after themselves, they're asking for themselves not to be used.
Absolutely.
That's a CLM, career limiting event.
Yeah.
Excuse me, career limiting move.
Any other thoughts, comments on the first session?
I'm glad there's not more
change?
questions on satellite operating modes because I don't want to memorize that table.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple comments. I got one question and one comment. So my comment is that I don't know how many of you guys are like this, but for me, ham radios, I don't take the tests to learn the information because I know that I'm going to learn it better if I just execute on it. So I really just study for the tests and pass the tests, and then when I'm implementing things is when I actually learn things, because I can't learn from a book. I have to actually implement it. It's the same thing with my job, right? When I do coding for Expedia, and I can't sit in a class and have some guy teaching me about Python or Go or anything like that. I will pick up the basics of it, but I can't actually implement anything based on the teachings of the instructor. I have to basically pass the exam, get the certification, and go out there and just do this stuff, and that's how I learn things. My question though is, how are the tests being administered these days? I've
Good
seen
question.
that there are some that are
test. So we got several options to go, but we got several weeks before we have to cross that bridge. But we will make testing opportunities available to the class.
Hey, Daniel.
Clarification on that. When you say testing in a Zoom room with a half-hour slot, so does that mean that you're answering the questions on your computer screen or you're answering it on paper?
Yes, you need to share your computer screen, and then you got 3 VEs watching you. You take your camera, you pan the room so we know no one else is in there helping give you answers. So that's, yeah, it's online through Zoom. I thought that's what Mike and Key is doing at this point. You had another question out there. Go ahead.
Do you answer the questions with your mouse on the computer, or do
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
And then they see the answers and we can grade them right away. Yes.
The club information, excuse me, the club information on this says that you also need another tablet or phone set up to watch your keystrokes.
Yeah, we're looking one for your one video of you, and then one sharing of the screen for your tablet or your computer that you're taking the test on. And each test is going to be individually generated, so you're likely to get any of the questions in the question pool. You'll get one question out of 2A, E2A, and one question out of E2C. That's where your questions are coming from out of each one, but you'll get any one of those 12 questions.
So in the chat, I've put the mikeandkey.org website, and right in the center of the center panel is a commentary by the VE team lead on testing. And then I've also included in the chat window the how they're doing the actual test. It's a document up that he's put up on OneDrive and shared it out.
Hey, Jim, Daniel, this is Alan. How long before you think you'll be doing live testing again? I'm not sure I was clear on that, Daniel.
Well, right now the governor's got it shut down to the 24th of January, so I don't expect it to happen until February.
Okay. But we're going to be in this class for, up to probably 7-8 weeks. So maybe even after this, we might be able to do live testing.
Yes.
Well, that's great
we're
news.
looking at technician and general classes being done in about 6 weeks. So we're looking for putting some sessions on at the end of February. I'll set some rooms up. And since we got people in Tacoma, I live in East Hill and Canton in the south, president of Federal Way Club. So I can get some rooms in the south or the north. The extra class we used to put on would usually alternate between the south end and the north end, and the Tacoma Club would come to the south class, and the north people come to the north class. So we'll move the testing sessions around so you don't have to drive across 2 counties to get there.
That sounds great. We did have a member of our club take your online test, and they're very successful. And it's something different. But being an old guy, I'd just like to do it live if I could. So.
Yeah, well, we've had 18 VEs at test sessions before, so we're used to big test sessions. But with the COVID situation, I am going to require that you're sick, stay home, social distancing, mask, and all that sort of stuff, hand sanitizers, I'm not going to fight City Hall. There's no sense in getting sick.
Sure. Okay.
I have a question about the online tests.
Yes.
So I heard you mention 30 minutes. So what happens if you need a longer time to take the test?
I'm going to talk to Scott Robbins on that because I've got a lot of time on that. Technicians generally run a 15 minutes to a half hour for the test, and the general too. The extra, a lot of times people run 45 minutes on the extra. They may take an hour on that. So I'll ask Scott because he'll probably set up special test sessions for us in the extra class.
Scott has told us we're going to get special privileges. We'll get something set up.
And it's not uncommon for someone like yourself to take 45 minutes for a test. So we need a little extended time on that. And if he does test sessions just for this class, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, this is Michael again. I remember when we took the class, when Jenna and I took the class with you back in 2014, I don't recall there being a time limit on the exam. So, I mean, how?
That's true. The FCC gave you 4 hours on the test, and in the person sessions, we could go as long as we can unless we got kicked out of the room. We've only been time limited on a couple rooms in the hundreds of tests we've done. But the RVEs are willing to stay until you're finished. But with the online stuff, in order to get serve as many people as they can, Scott is limited to half hour per test. But with the extra, like I say, I think we need a little more time on it.
Definitely more time on it.
So also, since I am a VE, is there any way I can possibly help with like the general and the technician exams right now, if it's needed? I haven't
You're
done
probably not going to get onto Scott's team,
Mm-hmm.
but I can put you on one of our teams. Yeah.
All right, cool.
I'm out in Port Angeles, so I'm hoping that this Zoom meeting continues through the completion of the class, and I'll worry about testing after that.
I think it will. One of our founding members lives out there in Port Angeles area. So if necessary, I'll grab a couple VEs and we'll run out that way.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Maybe when the weather gets nicer, there'll be parking lot testing again.
Yeah, that's what we're
Scott
hoping for.
said he didn't want to go back to that. I was involved in all the parking lot sessions in there, and we got it down. So it was about 2.5 hours on that. But Scott said he didn't want to go back that way. It may, if the weather gets better. We were very lucky that it didn't rain on us.
Of course.
Well, I'm hoping we can Zoom this, seeing as I'm in Cocoa Beach, Florida, unless you want to come down there and watch some launches with me.
I'll come down, Jerry. If you buy the ticket, I'll come down.
Okay.
You want to wait till after I pass my exam? I'll come down here to visit too.
Like right now, I'm watching a descending satellite. It's called the Moon. It's heading towards you guys. It's heading towards the West Coast right now, from my point of view.
When's
the
We've got
next
a
launch, Jerry?
we've got a couple in Florida that's taking the technician class, and so they're going to be doing a Zoom situation too. I do have one of my teachers who moved down to Florida, so at that point, I just need to get two others down there. We'll have a session for you.
Sounds great.
So I know earlier in the meeting there was several people that would like to move this test time or this class Zoom time earlier. Can I see hands again, or how many people are? Wow, there's a lot of you, huh?
I can barely stay awake.
Well, yeah, but you have narcolepsy.
I do not.
So
Jim,
is the question, how many people want to have the class earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, not me. I don't care. I have no preference.
Jim, I do
Yeah, I
have
don't care.
a Zoom account, so we can use mine if we want to.
Okay. Yeah.
And Jim, I sent you a note that the president of our club, Maple Valley, said we can use his account too. It's unlimited, and he'd come in every Thursday night and get us in. So whatever you want to do, we can sure move it an hour or two earlier. It's up to everybody else. So
Yeah. I think I'll send an email out. It'll be tomorrow, and if everybody can give me a rough idea of, I don't want to make it too early, because I don't want to. Oh, look, I'm seeing some 7 o'clocks in there.
Yeah, 7 o'clock would be great.
Yeah. I've been trying to avoid the Mike and Key. They have the social net that gets on, and they also have, well, we don't need to worry about the Wednesday Tech Net, but I was trying to keep all of these classes so that people could join in and participate in the other events and things. But yeah, it looks like a lot of people are wanting 7. So maybe we can do 7 o'clock, because I see a lot of smiling faces. So let's I'll put together the email tomorrow, and we'll see if everybody is good for 7 o'clock. I thought I saw somebody with no, that's not a good time.
I like it where it is, but if I'm not in the majority, then that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Can
actually
we vote?
better at this time, but I know it's awfully rough for especially Cocoa Beach and
Could get a reaction vote with thumbs. If you get a reaction, you could get a
Can we
thumbs
just take a
right
vote now and see how many people
Yeah.
want to change?
why don't you do a reaction, do reactions, thumbs up or down?
Reactions disappear real quick. Let me.
Oh, okay, do you have a voting thing?
Yeah, let me do a. Where's
Do a
the?
yes, no.
We all hold your thumbs up and you do a screen grab.
Don't want to move it.
Yeah. There's. Oh, it's over here. Sorry. Here's. I'm doing the other one. Let me add a question.
Jim's got two devices running, one for the presentation and one for administrating. So
If your alarm's going to go off, dear, turn your mic off.
I thought I had it off the first time.
You never do.
Jim, if you want to keep it simple, you could just have those of us who'd rather keep it at this time raise our hands and assume the rest want to move it.
I'm adding a question. I got a poll here. I can do this poll real quick. Okay. So here's the poll. And if you can go up there and click on yes versus no.
What about
if you don't care?
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
don't vote.
You have to choose one or the other.
Jeez.
It's a coin, a yes or a no.
Okay, well, neither.
We can just abstain. We just won't answer it.
Okay. Well, the good news is, so far we've got 24 or 33 who have voted. So I'm going to let you have it for 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In polling.
Wait.
Yeah, I knew there'd be somebody that'd say wait. So 56%, and that was 14 people versus 44. So let's go for 7 o'clock then. And I will redo the email tomorrow and let everybody know that we're going to change.
Just have to remember to get chased off our rag chew session.
No, I'm gonna Michelle, I'm gonna work with somebody else to, because that's the thing. That's why I was putting it so late, to stay off of rag chew and
I know.
and the other stuff.
But
We'll work it out.
I'm okay with that. That's a little bit better. It's not so
Yep.
late.
Yep. So I will work with moving that, and we'll move it to 7, and I'll reconfirm the with an email. Oh, other thing about email is there anybody that does not want to share their email with the rest of the class? In my general, there was one person that said, no, I really don't want to have everybody with my email. So as I send this out, I'm going to do one more BCC. Everybody, if you do not want to share your email with the class, tell me specifically, do not share, and I'll respect that, and I'll keep BCCing you, because I know how easily it is to all of a sudden you have 1,000 emails coming from something that you have no idea how you got signed up for it. And even though I'm the Mike and Key treasurer, I do not, I respect and keep all of the email roster information private. Don't share that with anybody.
Are these the emails that are coming from Group IO, or are these separate emails?
These are separate. I'm the Group IO are, that's more of our club's distribution list, using that because it used to be the old Yahoo. So yeah, you get on that and woo, you get all. How many glasses do you want?
27.
27 sold.
Can I provide you with an alternate email address?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send it to you in the chat.
Okay, that sounds good. Alrighty, so any other questions or comments or ideas before we wrap it up a little bit early?
Hey, Jim, I told Mike to do a raffle
or a pool and guess how many the final total would be for how many glasses were ordered?
Well, I know some insider secrets that there's going to be a massive order so that we get the absolute lowest price.
That's already happened.
I think it's already happened, Michelle?
As far as the minimum.
Yeah,
lowest
we're at the
price that
minimum.
would go.
Yeah, we got to the 151 glass level, so we're at $4.05 a glass plus shipping and tax. So we're at about less than $5 a glass. So we're
But
there.
individually, everybody that just did a reply keyed mash and told directed Dink that's how many they wanted. They didn't follow the instructions really and said to email him directly, with this count, which I did. So no one knows the real count.
Exactly.
I'll give you a hint. I ordered one.
That's silly.
Yep. So for those of you that don't know Mike and Key, we have been in operation for 50 years, and Mike Dinkelman has designed some 50-year anniversary glasses, and they trying to sell those and have something as a little remembrance. And hopefully we're going to get like some patches and pins and other things. We're working with a group of people to try to come up with other cool things for celebrate the 50 years. And Michelle almost has 50 years.
Oh, motorcycle jackets?
Already have that. I can buy it though.
Free
I know
motorcycle
that.
jackets. Free.
No,
No.
don't think so.
Actually, it's a cool silver baseball style jacket with the club logo on the back of it.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
I got a 25-year jacket from Mike and Key.
I just celebrated 5 years. I'm a newbie.
Can we say goodnight, Jim?
We can say goodnight, and I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks everybody for
Thanks, Jim.
Night, Jim.
See you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for hosting this and putting